The grand hall of Station Zenith floated in space like a giant crystal. Inside, hundreds of alien beings gathered from across the galaxy. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some looked like insects with many legs, others glowed with strange lights. Some floated in special containers filled with liquid. This was the Galactic Council, and they had ruled space for thousands of years. Daniel Harper walked into the hall. His boots made soft sounds on the shiny floor. Behind him came Kate Morrison and Greg Palmer. All three wore the dark blue uniforms of Earth Space Service. They looked small compared to the tall aliens around them. The human delegation stopped at the center of the room. Daniel looked up at the council members sitting high above him. He had come here many times before. Each time, the answer was the same. A massive creature with crystal-like eyes leaned forward. His name was Ambassador Vrex, and he spoke for the Vrexian people. When he talked, a small device translated his clicking sounds into human language. "Another request from the humans," Vrex said. His voice sounded bored. "Let me guess. You want more freedom. You want to trade with other worlds. You want us to remove the restrictions." Daniel stood straight and spoke clearly. "Ambassador, my people have followed every rule you gave us for 30 years. We have caused no trouble. We have helped when asked. We only want the same rights that other species enjoy." Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughing. A floating jellyfish creature pulsed with bright colors. "Rights?" it said. "You come from a death world. Your planet would kill most of us in minutes. The gravity would crush our bodies. The weather would destroy our ships. Even your animals are dangerous beyond belief. And you wonder why we keep you contained?" Kate stepped forward. Her voice was calm but firm. "We wonder why you judge us by our home instead of our actions." The room became quiet. Not the good kind of quiet. It was the silence of beings who thought they were so much better that they did not need to respond. An old alien with skin like flowing water raised one long hand. This was the High Chancellor, the leader of the council. "Your request is denied," he said simply. "Humans will stay in their own star system, and the 3 colony worlds we have already permitted. This meeting is finished." The aliens began to leave. Most did not even look at the 3 humans standing in the center of the room. Greg spoke quietly so only Daniel and Kate could hear. 30 years of doing everything they asked, and we are still treated like dangerous children." Daniel put a hand on Greg's shoulder. "We will find another way," he said. "We always do." But things were about to change in ways nobody expected. 3 months passed. Then the reports started coming in. A new species had appeared from beyond known space. They called themselves the Kreth Collective. They did not come in peace. The Kreth attacked colony worlds on the edge of council space. Their weapons were powerful. Their ships were fast. They showed no mercy. Within a few weeks, 7 worlds had fallen. The people living there were either killed or taken as slaves. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. This time, fear filled the Crystal Hall instead of boredom. Ambassador Vrex spoke quickly, his translator crackling with urgency. "The Kreth have destroyed the Tellurian defense fleet," he said. "They are moving toward the core systems. We must gather our forces to stop them. Our fleet needs 40 days to gather," one ambassador said. "We can be ready in 30 days. But we do not have enough heavy warships," another added. The council members argued with each other. Nobody could agree on what to do. They were scared and confused. These were beings who had lived in peace for so long that they had forgotten what real war looked like. Daniel sat in a small observation room above the main hall. He watched the chaos below with careful eyes. Next to him sat Admiral Lisa Crawford. She was the highest-ranking military officer from Earth. A small smile appeared on her face. "Should we tell them?" Kate asked. She stood near the door, watching the panicking aliens. Daniel looked at his datapad. A message had just arrived from Earth. The signal was clear. everything was ready. He stood up and straightened his uniform. "Yes," he said. "I think it is time they learned what humans can really do." He pressed a button on the wall. His voice echoed through the council chamber, cutting through all the noise and arguments. "Honorable delegates," Daniel said. "May I speak?" The room became quiet. The High Chancellor looked annoyed. "Captain Harper, your people are not part of this discussion. You have no military fleet that matters. You have no permission to leave your own space. There is nothing you can offer here." Daniel smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Several aliens nearby moved back, without knowing why. "With respect, Chancellor." "You are wrong," Daniel said. "We do have a military fleet, a very large one. And as for permission, well, sometimes it is easier to ask for forgiveness than permission." He pressed another button. The huge display in the center of the room changed. Images appeared, filling the air above the council floor. Ship after ship dropped out of hyperspace at points all across the galaxy. Sleek warships covered in weapons, huge carriers launching smaller fighter craft. Massive dreadnoughts bigger than anything the council had ever built. "The human fleet is ready," Daniel announced. 300 combat vessels, fully armed and crewed. We have been building them for 28 years, ever since we realized the galaxy saw us as curiosities instead of equals. We have not been sitting idle during our quarantine. We have been preparing. Number 1. The silence was complete. Every alien in the room stared at the images with shock. Finally, Ambassador Vrex managed to speak. "This is impossible," his translator whispered. Admiral Lisa Crawford stood up. Her voice filled the room with confidence and strength. "The Kreth are attacking the Pelion colonies right now. Our scans show they will reach the Viridian homeworlds in 6 days. The human armada can intercept them in 4 days. We are offering our help." A jellyfish alien pulsed with angry red colors. "This is a violation of every treaty. You have built a war fleet in secret. You have hidden your true strength from us." Daniel's eyes grew hard. "You restricted us to our own territory. What we build in our own space is our business. We have broken no treaty. Check the exact words. We cannot expand our military beyond our borders. These ships have never left human space until today." The High Chancellor looked older suddenly, as if he had aged years in seconds. "What do you want in return for this help?" Kate spoke before Daniel could answer. "What we have always wanted. Equality. Full membership in the Galactic Council. The right to trade freely, and an end to treating death, world species like we are dangerous animals." The council members looked at each other. Their pride fought with their fear. The Kreth were coming, and their own forces could not stop them. These humans they had dismissed now offered salvation, but the price was admitting they had been wrong. "We will need time to discuss this," the High Chancellor began. Admiral Crawford cut him off. "You have 4 hours. After that, we move to intercept the Kreth with or without your blessing. But understand this, clearly. If we fight alone, we will remember who stood with us and who did not." The human command ship floated at the edge of space like a sleeping giant. Its name was UHNS Defiance, and it was the largest warship Earth had ever built. Admiral Lisa Crawford stood on the bridge, looking at screens that showed every ship in the human fleet. 287 vessels waited for her orders. Commander Jake Sullivan walked up to her. He held a datapad in his hands. "Admiral, the Council has sent their answer." Lisa did not turn away from her screens. "Tell me, they approve our intervention against the Kreth. But they have conditions. They want observers on our main ships. They want detailed reports about our weapons. They want to know everything about how we fight." Lisa laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Of course they do. They are terrified of us now. Fear makes people want control." Jake nodded. "There is more. 3 Council species are sending ships to help. The Viridians are sending a battle group. The Tellurians are sending what remains of their fleet. And the Vrexians are sending their planetary defense forces. The Vrexians? Lisa finally turned to look at Jake. The same ones who have been calling us primitives for 30 years? Yes. Apparently, Ambassador Vrex gave a speech about unity against common threats. The translation files are quite interesting. Lisa pulled up a star map. Her fingers moved across the glowing display. The Kreth main fleet is here, moving through the Andros corridor. They have split smaller groups off to attack mining colonies. They expect us to scatter, trying to protect everything at once. That is not how we will do this. She zoomed in on different areas of the map. Captain Ryan Foster takes the carrier group to protect the Viridian homeworlds. That is our top priority. We protect the Council's heart, and we prove our value. Meanwhile, Captain Helen Price takes the fast attack ships here and sets a trap. Jake studied the positions. You are using the Council forces as bait. I am using them as partners. Lisa corrected him. The Viridian battle group will fight the Kreth directly. The Kreth will expect that. What they will not expect is Helen's group appearing behind them and cutting off their escape. And they definitely will not expect this. She showed him specifications for a ship called UHNS Judgment. It was one of the newest human dreadnoughts. Our heavy weapons division will hit their capital ships. The Kreth have never faced our kinetic weapons or plasma cutters. Their shields stop energy weapons, like the Council uses. But shields cannot stop a 20-ton rod of tungsten, moving at nearly light speed. A young officer called out from across the bridge. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Kreth Collective. They are broadcasting on all channels. Let me hear it. The main screen changed to show an alien that looked like it was made of metal and sharp edges. Its body was covered in dark armor. Its eyes had many facets, like a fly. When it spoke, the translation made its voice sound cold and mechanical. Attention, lesser species of this galaxy. I am War Prime Zethrak of the Kreth Collective. Your civilizations end today. Your resistance means nothing. You will serve us, or you will be destroyed. There is no third option. The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Jake spoke. Well, they are certainly confident. Lisa smiled without warmth. They are used to winning. They have conquered species who fight with energy weapons and slow fleets. They have never met a species forged in conflict. They have never fought beings who evolved by struggling every single day just to survive. She opened a communication channel that reached every ship in the fleet. All ships. This is Admiral Crawford. You have heard the Kreth's message. They think we are just another species to conquer. They are wrong. Her voice grew stronger. We are humans. Our ancestors survived ice ages and predators and diseases that should have killed us. We climbed to the top of the food chain on a planet that tried to kill us every day, and we did it through intelligence, determination, and refusing to ever give up. Throughout the fleet, crews stopped what they were doing to listen. In fighter bays, pilots looked up. In engineering sections, workers paused their tasks. For 30 years, this galaxy has kept us locked away. They said we were too dangerous, too violent, too primitive. Today we show them they were right to fear us, but wrong. About why? We are not dangerous because we love violence. We are dangerous because we are survivors, and survivors never quit. She paused, letting her words sink into every person listening. We fight today to protect others. We fight to prove that Deathworld species deserve respect. We fight to show the Kreth what happens when they threaten innocent people. And we fight to show the Galactic Council that they should have trusted us instead of fearing us. Lisa took a breath. All ships, move to your positions. Execute Operation Deathworld. Show them what we really are. The fleet began to move. Ships broke into their assigned groups with perfect coordination. Years of training showed in every maneuver. The humans had been preparing for this moment for a long time. Jake watched the tactical display with pride in his eyes. The council observers on board are asking to speak with you. Tell them to stay seated and stay quiet, Lisa said. They wanted to see human military capability. They are about to get exactly what they asked for. A Viridian diplomat named Kelrin came onto the bridge anyway. His skin changed colors rapidly, showing his nervousness. Admiral Crawford, I must protest. The Council gave authorization for defensive operations only. Your formation looks very aggressive. Lisa finally looked at him. Kelrin, let me explain something about human military thinking. The best defense is a strong offense. We do not wait for the enemy to choose where to fight. We take the battle to them, on our terms, when we want to. But the risk, Lisa interrupted him. Her voice was sharp. The risk is exactly why you called us. Your council fights by rules and traditions. The Kreth do not care about your rules. They fight to win, to conquer, to survive. She turned to face him fully. Kelrin took a step backward at the intensity in her eyes. Your people are safe behind our defensive line. The Tellurian survivors are protected in our carrier group. Every civilian world in the Kreth's path now has human ships guarding it. We are doing exactly what you asked. We are just doing it our way. Before Kelrin could respond, alarms sounded across the bridge. An officer called out urgently. Admiral, Kreth fleet detected. They are dropping out of hyperspace exactly where you predicted. Viridian battle group is moving to engage. Here we go, Lisa said quietly. She opened a channel to Captain Helen Price. Captain, you are clear to make your jump. Show them what a real ambush looks like. Helen's voice came back full of eagerness. With pleasure, Admiral. On the tactical display, Viridian ships engaged the Kreth fleet. Their energy weapons lit up space with brilliant colors. The Kreth fired back with deadly accuracy. Their ships moved in patterns that showed long experience. They were confident and skilled and dangerous, but they were completely unprepared for what happened next. 20 human ships appeared behind the Kreth fleet in perfect formation. They had jumped through hyperspace with precise timing, emerging from nothing to catch the Kreth in a trap. Kinetic weapons fired, sending tungsten rods through space at incredible speed. The rods punched through Kreth shields like they were not there. Plasma cutters sliced through armor plating. The Kreth formation broke apart, trying to respond to enemies on two sides. That is when the real trap closed. More human ships appeared above and below the battle, completing the encirclement. Jake watched the sensor data with satisfaction. Kreth flagship is taking heavy damage. Their smaller ships are breaking formation. They are trying to retreat. Do not let them, Lisa ordered. I want War Prime Zethrak to understand exactly what kind of species he threatened. I want him to take that message back to every Kreth world. The battle continued. Human weapons tore through Kreth defenses with brutal efficiency. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds now burned in space. Kelrin stared at the displays in shock. This level of coordination, the precision of your attacks, the power of your weapons. How long have you been preparing for this? War Prime Zethrak watched his fleet falling apart around him. In 17 cycles of conquest, he had never felt this emotion before. It took him a moment to recognize what it was. Fear. The command deck of his flagship shook under another impact. His tactical officer worked frantically at his station. War Prime. We have lost the Crimson Blade and the Dark Reaper. The Death's Herald reports their engines are destroyed. These human weapons go through our shields like they do not exist. Zethrak's mandibles clicked together in frustration. That is impossible. Our shield technology has defeated every species we have encountered. How can primitive Deathworlders have such power? Another explosion rocked the ship. Through the viewing ports, Zethrak could see human vessels moving with terrifying coordination. Their weapons fired with deadly accuracy. These were not the slow, predictable movements of Galactic Council fleets. These were hunters, and the Kreth had suddenly become prey. Receiving transmission from the human flagship, his communications officer announced. "Show me," Zethrak commanded. He stood up to his full height. He would not show weakness, even in defeat. The holographic image of Admiral Lisa Crawford appeared before him. She stood calmly with her hands behind her back, but her eyes held the cold calculation of a predator. "War Prime Zethrak," she began. Her voice was steady and controlled. "I am Admiral Lisa Crawford of the United Human Naval Service. You have one chance to withdraw your forces from this battle and from all occupied territories." Zethrak's laugh came out as harsh clicking sounds. "You think one battle victory gives you the right to make demands? The Kreth Collective has conquered 47 species. We have destroyed armies 10 times the size of your fleet. You are nothing but a minor inconvenience." Lisa's expression did not change. "I was hoping you would say that. Captain Price, demonstrate human firepower protocol." 7. On the tactical display, one human dreadnought turned to show its side to a Kreth heavy cruiser. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the human ship fired. What happened next would be talked about in council records for generations. A stream of solid projectiles moving at nearly a quarter of light speed hit the Kreth cruiser. The shields flickered and died. The armor, designed to stop plasma weapons and particle beams, simply shattered. The cruiser broke into pieces, its reactor exploding in a flash of white light. The entire attack took 3 seconds. Zethrak felt his confidence crack. "What kind of weapon?" "Simple physics," Lisa interrupted. "Mass times velocity squared. We throw very heavy objects very fast. Your shields are made to stop energy. They cannot stop something with that much physical force. It just punches through." She leaned forward slightly. "That was one gun on one ship at low power. Would you like to see what happens when my entire fleet fires at once?" His tactical officer spoke urgently. "War Prime, we are being targeted by over 100 human vessels. All weapons are locked on our position." For the first time in his career, Zethrak considered retreat. But the Kreth Collective did not retreat. To do so would show weakness, and weakness meant death among his people. "We still outnumber you 2 to 1. All ships, focus all fire on their flagship. We will destroy their command structure." Also as a T, the Kreth fleet turned as one unit. Dozens of ships aimed their weapons at the Defiance. Energy beams and missiles flew through space, all converging on the human command ship. The Defiance's shields lit up brilliantly, absorbing the attack. Lisa did not even flinch. Impressive light show. "Our turn. All ships. Fire. At will." The human fleet opened fire. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Kinetic weapons tore through Kreth ships like paper. Plasma cutters carved destroyers in half. Human fighters, smaller and faster than anything the Kreth had seen, swarmed through the enemy formation. Their missiles found weak points in armor and structure with devastating accuracy. In minutes, the Kreth fleet lost a third of its ships. In 10 minutes, half were destroyed or disabled. The survivors began to scatter, their formation breaking as survival instinct finally overcame discipline. "All Kreth vessels, stop fighting and prepare to be boarded." Lisa's voice cut through the chaos. "Any ship that continues to resist will be destroyed. Any ship that tries to escape will be hunted down. You came here to harvest and enslave. Now, you will learn what it means to face a species that refuses to be prey." Zethrak struck his command throne in anger. "Tactical officer, damage report. Catastrophic, War Prime. We have lost 53 ships. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses, but their weapons cut through us easily. We cannot win this fight." The words felt like poison. The Kreth Collective had never faced such complete defeat. Zethrak's mind worked frantically, looking for options. But every path led to the same conclusion. They had underestimated these humans. That mistake was now costing them everything. A new voice came through the communication system. War Prime Zethrak. This is Captain Helen Price of the UHNS Retribution. My fighters are surrounding your flagship. I have 40 missiles locked on critical systems. Surrender now, or I will show you why humanity named me the Valkyrie. Through the viewing port, Zethrak saw human fighters in perfect formation around his ship. Their weapons were aimed at engines, reactors, life support. There was no escape. No last, glorious battle. Only the choice between survival and death. What do you want? He finally asked. Each word felt like defeat. Lisa Crawford's image appeared again. I want you to return to your collective. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity now protects this sector. Tell them that any Kreth ship entering our territory will be destroyed. And tell them that if they want war with Earth, they will face more war than they can imagine. She paused, making sure he understood every word. We do not want to be conquerors, War Prime. We want to be left alone to live our lives. But if you force us to fight, we will show you why predators learn to fear Earth. We are the apex species of a death world, Zethrak. We are what survives when everything else dies, and we are very, very good at it. Zethrak looked at his tactical display. He saw the destroyed remains of his fleet. He saw the human ships that had outmaneuvered and outfought his forces at every turn. Pride demanded he fight to the death. Survival demanded he face reality. The Kreth Collective withdraws from this sector, he said. The words tasted like ash. We will deliver your message. Good, Lisa replied. You have 12 hours to remove your forces from all occupied worlds. Any Kreth vessel still in this sector after that will be destroyed without warning. Am I clear? Yes. The transmission ended. Zethrak sat heavily in his command throne. Around him, his crew worked in shocked silence. They were processing what seemed impossible. The mighty Kreth Collective had been defeated. His second-in-command approached carefully. War Prime. The other conquest fleets should be warned. The humans are far more dangerous than we thought. They are not just dangerous, Zethrak said quietly. They are something else entirely. We have conquered many species. Some were strong. Some were clever. Some fought with desperation. But these humans have all of those qualities combined. And they have something more. What is that, War Prime? Zethrak watched as human ships began coordinating with Galactic Council forces. They organized rescue operations for damaged vessels. They established defensive positions with practiced skill. They have purpose. Zethrak. 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 Every species we conquered was fighting for survival. These humans are fighting for something. 3 days after the Battle of Pelion, the Galactic Council met again. This time, everything was different. The massive crystal hall that had witnessed centuries of meetings now held a new energy. Fear mixed with respect, mixed with cautious hope. Captain Daniel Harper walked into the chamber with Admiral Lisa Crawford, Commander Jake Sullivan, and Captain Helen Price. The assembled delegates stood up from their seats. This had never happened for humans before. High Chancellor Veridus came down from his elevated platform to meet them at ground level. His skin rippled with colors that the translator said meant deep respect and careful optimism. Admiral Crawford, Captain Harper, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer our deepest gratitude. Your intervention saved countless lives. You stopped the Kreth from establishing control in our territory. Lisa nodded slightly. We did what was necessary, Chancellor. Just as we have been telling you, we could do, for 30 years. The statement hung in the air. Several delegates looked uncomfortable. Ambassador Vrex approached, with his head lowered in a gesture of submission. Captain Harper, I owe you and your species an apology. We judged you by where you came from instead of who you are. We saw your death world nature as a problem when it was actually a strength. Apologies are a start, Daniel replied evenly. But words are easy, Ambassador. We need real action. The Caltharian delegate floated forward. His lights pulsed in subdued patterns. The Council has prepared a proposal. Full membership status for humanity. This includes voting rights and a permanent seat on the Security Council. Complete trade agreements. Total freedom of movement for human vessels in Council space. And a formal request for a mutual defense agreement. Helen Price raised an eyebrow. That is quite different from calling us primitive Deathworlders who need quarantine. The situation has changed, Chancellor Veritas said quietly. More than you know. While you fought the Kreth, we received intelligence from our deep space stations. The Kreeth Collective is not retreating. They are regrouping. And they are not alone. Jake Sullivan tensed. Explain. The holographic display activated, showing a map of the galaxy. Red markers showed Kreth-controlled space. But beyond them, farther into unexplored territory, were dozens of other colored markers. We have detected at least 7 other aggressive species beyond our borders. A Tellurian officer explained. His feathers were ruffled with worry. Some appear to be allied with the Kreeth. Others are independent powers. All of them have been watching our expansion with hostility. Lisa studied the map carefully. You are telling us the Kreeth were not just raiders. They were testing your defenses. Exactly, Chancellor Veritas confirmed. Our analysts believe a larger invasion is coming. Multiple species working together. Their attack will be designed to overwhelm our defensive capabilities. The Battle of Pelion was not a victory. It was a warning. The revelation settled over the room like a dark cloud. Daniel exchanged glances with his fellow officers. He could see his own concerns, reflected in their faces. How much time do we have? Lisa asked. 6 months. Maybe 8. They will need time to coordinate their forces and plan their strategy. But when they will come with strength we cannot match alone. Helen stepped forward. Her tactical mind was already working through possibilities. The Council forces are designed for peacekeeping and border patrol, not full-scale war. Your ships are lightly armed. Your crews are trained in diplomacy first and combat second. You are not ready for this, which is why we need humanity, Vrek said. The translator carried genuine humility. Your species has military experience and capabilities we lack. Your ships are built for war. Your people understand combat in ways we never had to. Daniel could not help the bitter laugh that escaped. So when you needed diplomats and traders, we were too dangerous to trust. But now that you need soldiers, suddenly, we are acceptable. I know how it sounds, Chancellor Veritas replied. And I do not blame you for your anger. The Council was wrong, Captain Harper. We were afraid of what you represented. We marginalized you, instead of learning from you. We were fools. Lisa crossed her arms. What exactly are you proposing, Chancellor? A partnership. Humanity leads the defensive effort. Your officers train our forces in combat tactics. Your engineers help us upgrade our weapons and defensive systems. In return, full integration into galactic society, technology sharing, cultural exchange. Everything we should have offered from the beginning. And command authority? Jake asked. Who makes the strategic decisions when the invasion comes? The council chamber became quiet. This was the critical question. It would determine whether this was real partnership or just another way to use humanity while keeping them controlled. Chancellor Veritas looked at each council member. Then he looked back at the humans. Humanity will have full operational command of the Joint Defense Force. Admiral Crawford, we would like to offer you the position of Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense. The offer hung in the air. Helen's eyes widened. Jake's jaw dropped. Even Daniel, who prided himself on maintaining diplomatic composure, could not hide his surprise. Lisa remained calm. I will need full authority over all military assets, human and alien. No political interference in tactical decisions. Complete access to all Council intelligence about the threat. And a formal declaration from this council that Deathworld species are equal partners in galactic civilization, not threats to be managed. Agreed, Chancellor Veritas said without hesitation. We will prepare the necessary documents. They will be signed today. Helen leaned close to Lisa. Admiral, can we trust this? No, Lisa replied quietly. But we can verify. And right now, the galaxy needs us. That gives us real power. We will use it to build the future humanity deserves. Over the following weeks, the transformation began. Human officers spread throughout Council forces. They taught combat tactics, strategic planning, and what they called death world thinking, the ability to see opportunities in chaos and turn threats into advantages. Captain Ryan Foster worked with Viridian fleet commanders. He used holographic simulations to demonstrate new tactics. Your ships fly in perfect formations. You follow established patrol routes. You engage at maximum weapons range. Against an enemy following the same rules. That works. Against an enemy who ignores your rules, it means death. He showed a simulation of a traditional Viridian formation meeting a Kreeth assault force. The Viridians were methodically destroyed. They could not adapt to the Kreeth's aggressive tactics. Now watch what happens when you fight like you are from a death world. Ryan changed the Viridian formation. He broke it into smaller, mobile units. When the Kreeth attacked, the Viridian ships scattered and reformed in unexpected positions. They struck from multiple angles at once. The result was complete victory. But this violates standard tactical doctrine, one Viridian commander protested. Exactly, Ryan replied. Doctrine is what you follow when you have time to think. Combat is chaos. You need to adapt and improvise. When necessary, you need to ignore every rule you learned. Captain Helen Price worked with fighter pilots from many species. She taught them what she called knife fighting in space. Your training teaches you to keep distance. Use your superior range and sensors. That works against enemies doing the same thing. But what happens when the enemy closes? When they are too fast to track, too small for your heavy weapons, too aggressive to outmaneuver? She put them in simulators and destroyed them in mock combat. Her human fighter moved through their formations, like a predator through prey. After the third defeat, one Tellurian pilot asked in frustration, "You do not defend," Helen replied. "You attack. The moment you go defensive, you have lost. In close combat, hesitation means death. You commit fully. You strike hard. You accept that sometimes you will get hit. The goal is not to avoid all damage. The goal is to survive." Throughout the galaxy, similar lessons were taught. Human engineers showed alien technicians how to build weapons that ignored safety protocols but delivered devastating power. Human strategists taught planning officers to think in terms of acceptable losses instead of zero casualties. Human drill instructors pushed alien soldiers beyond what they thought were their limits. It was harsh and demanding, and unlike anything the Galactic Council had experienced. But it worked. Daniel found himself in a meeting with Chancellor Veritas and other council leaders. They were reviewing the progress. "The transformation is remarkable," the Chancellor admitted. "In just 6 weeks, our combat effectiveness has increased by 40%. Your training methods are severe, but the results are clear." "The question is whether it is enough," Daniel replied. "We are not just facing the Kreeth anymore. We could be looking at a coalition of 8 or 9 hostile species, each with different capabilities and tactics." A new voice spoke. Admiral Lucas Grant entered the room. He had just arrived from Earth. Lucas was humanity's chief military strategist and the architect of the human naval expansion. "Which is why we need to do more than train existing forces," Lucas said. He projected ship designs and strategic plans. "The Council has shipyards currently building vessels designed for peacekeeping. We need to convert them for war. I propose a joint construction program. Human designs built in council facilities with mixed species crews. We can triple the defensive fleet size in 4 months, if we start now. One delegate began to speak about costs. Lucas cut him off. What is the cost of losing this war? Of seeing your homeworlds invaded? Your populations enslaved? Or destroyed? You spent centuries building a peaceful civilization. Are you going to argue about the price of defending it? The room was silent. Finally, Chancellor Veritas nodded. Begin the construction program. Whatever resources you need are yours. As the meeting ended, Daniel walked with Lucas through the station. You are pushing them hard. They need it, Lucas replied. They have lived in a safe bubble, thinking the galaxy was civilized. It is not. It never was. They just never had to face reality until now. 5 months after the Battle of Pelion, the invasion came. It was not a single attack, but a coordinated strike across 17 sectors at once. The Kreeth Collective had brought allies. The crystalline Nethik, who could phase through solid matter. The Scorvan, who used biological weapons. The Drell, who controlled gravity itself. And 4 other species, each bringing unique and terrible capabilities. Admiral Lisa Crawford stood in the command center of Citadel Station. This was a massive military installation, built using combined human and alien technology. Around her, officers from many species worked together, managing a defensive operation that spanned light years. Status report, she ordered. Her eyes scanned holographic displays, showing the entire war zone. Commander Jake Sullivan brought up the tactical overview. 17 simultaneous attacks as we predicted. The Kreeth are hitting outer colonies. The Nethik have appeared inside Station Harmony. They phased through our shields. The Scorvan deployed biological weapons on Telos 4. The Drell are using gravity weapons against our fleet at the Argos Junction. Casualties? Lisa's voice was steady, but her jaw tightened. Heavy. We lost 14 stations and 6 colony worlds in the first hour. Council forces are holding at designated defensive lines, but they are taking damage. Human fleets are moving to priority targets now. Lisa studied the map. She could see the pattern in the chaos. The enemy was not attacking randomly. They were testing responses, looking for weaknesses, trying to spread defensive forces too thin. They are good, she admitted. Better coordinated than we expected, but they are still thinking conventionally. They are trying to win through numbers and simultaneous pressure. That is not how you beat a Deathworld species. She opened a channel that reached every ship in the combined fleet. All commands. This is Crawford. Execute Deathworld doctrine. Rules of engagement are lifted. You are authorized to use any means necessary to defend your assigned territories. Throughout the fleet, human commanders received the order with satisfaction. For months, they had trained alien forces in conventional warfare. They had held back the truly devastating capabilities humanity possessed. Now the restrictions were removed. Captain Ryan Foster commanded the defense of the Viridian core worlds. He received the authorization with a fierce grin. Helm, stop defensive patterns. Navigation, plot intercept courses for the Drell fleet. Weapons, activate the gravity. Well disruptors. His Viridian tactical officer looked alarmed. Captain, those weapons are experimental. They could destabilize space-time in this region. That is the point, Ryan replied. The Drell want to use gravity as a weapon? We will show them what happens when you really commit to that idea. All ships, formation, Alpha 7. We are going straight at them. The human ships charged directly at the Drell fleet. The Drell expected them to retreat from their singularity weapons. They were surprised when the humans accelerated toward them instead. Ryan's flagship fired the gravity well disruptor. The weapon destabilized the artificial singularities the Drell created. The result was catastrophic for the Drell fleet. Their own weapons imploded, creating waves of gravitational distortion that tore their ships apart. At Station Harmony, Captain Helen Price faced a different problem. The Nethic had phased inside the station. They appeared in corridors and critical systems, killing crew members and destroying equipment. They can phase through solid matter, her security chief reported. Our weapons cannot hit them while they are shifting between dimensions. Helen studied station schematics. They have to become solid to interact with our systems. That means they are physical for at least a few seconds when doing damage. Set sensors to detect dimensional fluctuations. The moment they solidify, flood those sections with atmosphere mixed with fluorine gas. That will kill our people too, the security chief said. Then evacuate those sections, Helen ordered sharply. We are fighting an enemy that walks through walls. Traditional defense does not work. We adapt, or we die. That is Deathworld thinking. The plan worked with brutal efficiency. Nethic soldiers materialized to sabotage systems and found themselves breathing poison. Those who survived the gas were hunted by human marines in protective gear, trained for close combat against unconventional enemies. On Telos 4, the situation looked hopeless. The Scorvan biological weapons had infected the colony. The plague spread rapidly. Local commanders prepared to evacuate. Admiral Lucas Grant intervened. Negative on evacuation. We are not abandoning Telos 4. Admiral, the biological contamination is beyond our ability to contain, the colony governor protested. We have lost 30% of the population. Then we change the situation, Lucas replied. He turned to his science team. The Scorvan plague is carbon-based, correct? Yes, but Admiral, and it needs oxygen to spread? In theory, but you cannot. I can and I will. Evacuate the uninfected population to sealed shelters. Then, superheat the atmosphere. Burn out the infection. The proposal shocked everyone listening. Deliberately setting a planet's atmosphere on fire was an act of desperation that no council species had ever attempted. It will destroy the ecosystem, a science officer said quietly. The plague will destroy the people, Lucas countered. Ecosystems can be rebuilt. Dead populations cannot be brought back. Do it. Orbital platforms fired thermal weapons into Telos 4's atmosphere. A controlled firestorm swept across infected zones. The Scorvan plague died in flames, unable to survive the extreme heat. The colony was saved, though the environmental damage would take decades to repair. Back at Citadel Station, Lisa watched results coming in. The tide was turning. Human tactics, harsh and unconventional, were countering every advantage the enemy possessed. But the cost was high. Casualty reports, she said quietly. Jake's face was grim. 12,000 dead, 30,000 wounded, 19 ships destroyed, 47 damaged. 4 colonies need complete reconstruction. Telos 4 will require environmental restoration for 50 years. Lisa closed her eyes briefly. 12,000 lives lost. 12,000 families destroyed. But the alternative would have been millions dead and entire worlds enslaved. Enemy casualties? Devastating. We destroyed or disabled 60% of their fleet. The Drell withdrew completely. The Nethic forces at Harmony are eliminated. The Scorvan plague on Telos is neutralized. Remaining enemy forces are scattered and regrouping. Captain Daniel Harper arrived on the command deck. He had coordinated the diplomatic side of the operation. The Council is in shock. They are calling our methods barbaric, unrestrained, excessive. Are they calling them effective? Lisa asked. Daniel smiled slightly. That too. Chancellor Veritas wants to meet with you immediately. Die. The meeting took place in the council chamber. The delegates looked at Lisa with mixed emotions. Awe, fear, and respect all showed in their expressions and body language. Admiral, Chancellor Veritas began. His skin shifted through troubled colors. Your victory today was complete. You broke an enemy coalition that should have overwhelmed us. You saved countless lives. But your methods were harsh, beyond anything we expected. They were necessary, Lisa stated firmly. She stepped forward, addressing every delegate. You called us to fight. You gave me command because you knew you could not win with your methods. Now you are shocked that Deathworld tactics look different from what you are used to. You burned a planet's atmosphere, the Keltharian ambassador said. His colors showed agitation. You used experimental weapons that could have destroyed entire star systems. You poisoned sections of your own station. And I saved Telos 4, Lisa countered. I stopped the Drell from weaponizing gravity in our core systems. I eliminated an enemy that could phase through our defenses. Yes, my methods were extreme. War is extreme. That is what you never understood. She pulled up images of the battle. Burning ships, devastated colonies, the terrible casualties on both sides. This is what war really looks like. Not clean battles from safe distances. Not polite engagements where everyone follows rules. Real war is ugly and terrible, and forces choices nobody wants to make. Helen Price stepped forward. We are from Earth. That means we evolved where everything tried to kill us. Survival meant being smarter, faster, and more ruthless than everything else. We learned to fight before we learned to build. We mastered war before we mastered peace. Ryan Foster joined her. Your species developed in safety. Your evolution was shaped by cooperation. Ours was shaped by conflict. Neither path is wrong. But they produce different results. You asked soldiers from a death world to fight your war. This is what that looks like. Chancellor Veritas was quiet for a long moment. What you are saying is we cannot have both. We cannot ask for your protection while condemning your methods. Exactly, Lisa confirmed. You need to decide what you want. A galaxy where everyone follows your rules, or a galaxy that survives. Right now, you cannot have both. The council members looked at each other with uncertainty. Finally, Ambassador Vrex spoke. What would you recommend, Admiral? How should we proceed? Lisa took a breath. This was the moment everything had built toward. Restructure galactic civilization around a simple truth. Some species are builders. Some are warriors. Neither is better. Both are necessary. Stop trying to make warriors into diplomats. Stop expecting diplomats to win wars. She projected a new organizational structure. Human forces handle military operations and defense. Council species focus on governance, trade, and cultural development. Everything you are actually good at. We protect. You prosper. Partnership, not domination. But you must accept that protection has a cost. Sometimes that cost is uncomfortable. You are asking us to let you control our military, a Tellurian delegate said. I am asking you to let us do what we are good at, Lisa corrected. Just like we ask you to teach us better governance and cultural sophistication. We are Deathworlders. We understand survival and conflict. You are civilized species. You understand cooperation and growth. Together, we are stronger than apart. Jake showed statistics. The numbers support this. In 5 months of cooperation, we increased defensive capabilities by 300%. We developed new technologies. We created an integrated force that can respond to threats your old system could not handle. The debate lasted for hours. Some delegates wanted civilian oversight. Others wanted restrictions on human weapons. A few called for returning to old ways, arguing they had survived for millennia without Deathworld species. But reality won the argument. The enemy fleet was still out there, wounded but not defeated. Other threats waited beyond known space. The galaxy was more dangerous than the Council had admitted. They needed humanity's strength as much as humanity needed their acceptance. The vote came. It was nearly unanimous. Humanity would lead galactic military operations. Earth and its colonies would receive full integration into galactic society. Technology sharing. Equal representation in all decisions. As the session ended, Daniel found Lisa alone, looking at the stars. You did it. Humanity has an equal voice in shaping the galaxy's future. We earned it in blood, Lisa replied quietly. Ours and theirs. I hope we never forget that price. Helen joined them. The invasion is not over. The enemy will regroup and return. Let them, Lisa said. We will be ready. And next time, they will face not just. 6 months had passed since the great invasion was turned back. The galaxy looked different now, not just in the ships that patrolled its borders or the weapons that defended its worlds. The real change was deeper than that. Captain Daniel Harper walked through the corridors of Citadel Station. Everywhere he looked, he saw humans and aliens working side by side, not as separate groups forced together, but as genuine partners. A human engineer explained shield modifications to a Viridian technician. A Tellurian pilot laughed at something. A human fighter ace said. A Keltharian scientist and a human researcher studied data together. This was what they had fought for. Not domination, not conquest. Just the right to belong. Daniel entered the main conference room where the Galactic Council was gathering. But this was not like the old meetings. The Crystal Hall was still grand, but the atmosphere had changed completely. When Daniel walked in, several aliens nodded respectfully. Ambassador Vrex actually smiled, his translator rendering it as genuine warmth. Captain Harper. Chancellor Veritas greeted him. Thank you for coming. We have much to discuss. Admiral Lisa Crawford was already there, along with Helen Price, Ryan Foster, and Jake Sullivan. Also present were leaders from a dozen council species. This was the new reality. Humans at the table as equals, not outsiders begging for scraps. Let us begin, the Chancellor said. First, the good news. Our intelligence indicates the Kreth Collective and their allies have withdrawn to their own territories. They are not planning another invasion soon. The message we sent was received clearly. They learned that conquering council space would cost more than they could afford, Lisa added. Fear is a powerful deterrent. Indeed, Vrex agreed. But this brings us to the larger question. What kind of galaxy do we want to build? We can return to the old ways, pretending threats do not exist. Or we can create something new, a Tellurian elder spoke up. The old ways were peaceful. We had thousands of years without major war. Should we not try to return to that? Helen Price shook her head. The old ways were peaceful because you were lucky. You existed in a pocket of space where the aggressive species had not yet reached you. That luck has run out. The threats are still out there. Ignoring them will not make them disappear. So we become a military civilization? A Keltharian asked. We abandon our values of peace and cooperation? No, Daniel said firmly. You add military strength to your existing values. The two are not mutually exclusive. You can be peaceful and prepared, cooperative and defended. The galaxy has both builders and warriors. You need both to survive. Lucas Grant, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. I have a proposal. We formalize what has been developing naturally over the past months. A dual structure for galactic civilization. He projected a detailed organizational chart. The Galactic Council continues to govern civilian matters. Trade, diplomacy, cultural exchange, scientific research. All the things you excel at. But we create a separate but equal military command structure. The Galactic Defense Force, led by humans, but incorporating all species. Separate but equal, Chancellor Veritas repeated thoughtfully. Not subordinate, not superior. Parallel authorities working together. Exactly, Lucas confirmed. The Council sets overall policy and strategic goals. The Defense Force implements those goals, militarily. Neither can act without the other's cooperation. True partnership. The room fell into discussion. Some delegates worried about giving up control. Others feared creating a permanent military class. But slowly, consensus began to form. Ryan Foster added his perspective. In the past 6 months, We have trained thousands of your people in combat operations. Many of them are talented. Some are even exceptional. The defense force should not be purely human. It should be mixed, with every species contributing according to their strengths. The Viridians have excellent strategic thinking, Helen noted. The Tellurians are natural pilots. The Keltharians have remarkable spatial awareness. Every species brings something valuable. We combine those strengths with human combat experience. Jake pulled up statistics. We have already begun this integration. 40% of our fleet crews are now mixed species teams. Combat effectiveness has actually increased because different perspectives solve problems in different ways. An elderly Viridian commander stood. I was one of those, trained by Captain Foster. I will admit, I resented it at first. Being taught by beings I considered primitive. But I learned something important. Humans do not just teach tactics. They teach a mindset. The ability to adapt, to improvise, to see opportunities where others see only obstacles. He looked directly at Daniel. My people thought we were civilized, and you were barbaric. We were wrong. You are civilized in ways we never understood. Your civilization was forged in adversity, which made it stronger. Ours was built in safety, which made it fragile. We need both types of strength. The discussion continued for hours. Practical details were debated. Command structures, resource allocation, rules of engagement, training programs, technology sharing protocols. But beneath all the technical talk, something more fundamental was happening. Two very different types of civilization were learning to trust each other, to see value in their differences rather than fear. Finally, Chancellor Veritas called for a vote. The proposal is this. We formalize the Galactic Defense Force as a permanent institution. Admiral Crawford serves as Supreme Commander. Command staff includes representatives from all member species. The Defense Force operates independently in military matters, but coordinates with the Council on all policy issues. All in favor? 1. The vote was unanimous. As the meeting ended, Daniel found himself on an observation deck with Lisa. They looked out at the stars together. We really did it, Daniel said quietly. Changed the entire galaxy. We showed them what was possible. Lisa corrected. They did the changing themselves. That is important. This only works if they chose it, not because we forced it. Do you think it will last? Daniel asked. Or will they go back to fearing us once the immediate threat is gone? Lisa considered the question. I think we proved something they could not ignore. That Deathworld species are not dangerous because we love violence. We are valuable because we understand survival. Every species out here came from worlds that were relatively gentle. Earth tried to kill us every single day. That taught us lessons they never had to learn. She gestured at the station around them. Look at what we built together in 6 months. Combined technology that neither side could have created alone. Tactics that integrate multiple species' strengths. A genuine partnership where each side contributes what they do best. That is not something you abandon lightly. And Helen and Ryan joined them on the observation deck. Helen carried a bottle and glasses. I thought we should mark the occasion. The official recognition that humanity belongs in this galaxy as equals. She poured drinks for everyone. To the Galactic Defense Force. May it never be needed, but always be ready. They touched glasses and drank. The moment felt significant. Not just for them personally, but for their entire species. Humanity had gone from quarantined curiosities to essential partners in less than a year. What happens now? Ryan asked. The immediate threat is contained. The political structure is established. What is our next challenge? Exploration, Lucas said, joining the group. There are thousands of star systems we know nothing about, species we have never contacted, technologies we have not discovered. The galaxy is vast, and we have barely scratched the surface. Jake appeared with a data pad. Speaking of which, I have been reviewing the deep space sensor data. There are some interesting signals coming from the galactic core, patterns that look artificial but unlike any known species. New contact? Daniel asked. Potentially. Or ancient technology. Or natural phenomena we do not understand yet. That is the exciting part. We get to find out together. Lisa smiled. This is what we always wanted. Not to be the strongest or the most feared. Just to be part of the conversation. To explore and learn and build alongside other species. Though being strong does not hurt. Helen added with a grin. Respect through strength opened the door. Now we prove we deserve to stay through our contributions. Over the following months, the new system took shape. Human officers trained mixed-species crews. Alien scientists worked with human engineers on revolutionary technologies. Cultural exchange programs brought Earth music, art, and literature to alien worlds. In return, humans learned alien philosophies, sciences, and ways of thinking. The Defense Force proved its worth repeatedly. Border skirmishes were handled efficiently. Pirate raids were stopped. When a natural disaster threatened a colony world, Defense Force ships provided rescue and relief. They became not just warriors, but protectors, in the truest sense. Daniel found himself teaching at the new Defense Academy, a joint institution where officers from all species trained together. He stood before a class of cadets, some human, most alien, all eager to learn. The most important lesson I can teach you, he told them, is that strength comes in many forms. Physical power is one kind, but intelligence, creativity, determination, compassion. A young Viridian cadet raised a hand. Captain Harper. Is it true that humans were kept in quarantine because the Council feared you? Daniel considered how to answer honestly but constructively. Yes, it is true. They saw where we came from and made assumptions about who we were. It was not malice. It was fear of the unknown. But here is what I want you to understand. That fear was overcome. Not through force or intimidation, but through demonstrated partnership. He pulled up images from the Great Invasion. When the crisis came, we could have demanded concessions. We could have used the Council's desperation against them. Instead, we fought alongside them as equals. We protected their worlds as if they were our own. We took the same risks and paid the same price. That is what changed minds. Not our weapons, but our character. A Tellurian cadet spoke up. Some say Deathworld species are naturally violent. Do you agree? I think Deathworld species are naturally survivors, Daniel replied. Violence is just one survival tool among many. Yes, humans can be fierce warriors, but we can also be compassionate healers, brilliant artists, dedicated scientists. Our harsh origin taught us to value life, because we know how fragile it is. That makes us better protectors, not worse. The class continued. But Daniel could see understanding growing in the cadets' eyes. They were the next generation, the ones who would carry this new galaxy forward. Later, Daniel met with the other human leaders in Lisa's office. They reviewed the state of things. Earth wants to know if we are planning to return home, Jake reported. Some people think we have been out here long enough. Lisa shook her head. Our mission is not finished. It may never be finished. The galaxy needs what we can offer. And honestly, I think we need what the galaxy offers us. We have grown so much in the past year, learned so much. We are better than we were. Agreed, Helen said. Besides, there is still so much to do. The Defense Force is established, but it needs refinement. Training programs need expansion. We have barely begun exploring unknown regions, Ryan added. And the relationships we have built are still fragile. They need time and attention to become truly strong. We cannot just declare victory And leave. Daniel looked at his friends and colleagues. They had come so far together. From that first humiliating rejection by the Council, to this moment, where humanity stood as respected equals. The journey had been hard. The cost had been high. But the result was worth everything. Then we stay, he said simply. We continue the work. We prove every day that we deserve our place here. Not through force, but through contribution. Not through fear, but through partnership. Outside the window, stars glittered across infinite space. Somewhere out there were threats still unknown, challenges still unmet, discoveries still waiting. But for the first time, humanity would face them not alone, not as outsiders, but as full members of galactic civilization. The age of isolation was over. The age of partnership had begun. And humanity, children of Earth, Deathworlders and dreamers, had finally found their place among the stars. Not through conquest, not through domination, but through the simple, stubborn refusal to be anything less than they knew they could be. Through the determination to prove that Deathworld species were not threats to be feared, but allies to be valued. The galaxy would never forget the lesson, and humanity would never forget the price they paid to teach it. Together, they would build something new, something better, something that honored both the peaceful builders and the fierce protectors. Because in the end, that is what civilization really means. Not the absence of conflict, but the ability to work together despite differences. Not uniform sameness, but diverse strengths combined toward common goals. The stars waited, and humanity, finally accepted, finally home among them, was ready for whatever came next. Human forces, but a galaxy that learned to fight like Deathworlders. They tested our strength. We will show them strength beyond imagination. Ryan appeared with a report. Admiral, Earth Command wants a status update. Lisa looked at her officers. At the station filled with humans and aliens working together. At the fleet assembling to protect a civilization that once feared them. Tell Earth the mission is complete, she said. Humanity is no longer the outsider. We are the guardians, the protectors, the ones they call when darkness comes. She turned back to the stars, to the infinite expanse where unknown threats waited. Tell them we showed the galaxy what Deathworlders can do, and we are just getting started. Daniel thought about the future, about what would happen after the war. And what comes next? After we help them win? Will they still want us around? Or will we go back to being dangerous Deathworlders they need to control? Lucas smiled grimly. That is why we are making ourselves essential. By the time this is over, human technology will be in every major system. Human officers will be in every fleet. Human methods will be the foundation of galactic defense. They will not be able to remove us, even if they try. That is not partnership. That is conquest through integration. No, Lucas said. It is survival through necessity. G bigger. For respect. For their place in the galaxy. That makes them infinitely more dangerous than any weapon. As his flagship began its retreat, Zethrak wrote his report to the collective. The words were difficult. Each one was an admission of failure, but they were necessary. He wrote, Humanity must not be engaged. They are a Deathworld species, with military power far beyond our projections. Their weapons technology is decades ahead of ours. Their tactical coordination suggests extensive combat experience. Most importantly, they fight with determination and creativity we cannot match. All operations in human-protected space must cease immediately. Long-term observation is recommended. Extreme caution is advised for any future contact. The age of easy conquest has ended. We have met our equal. Zethrak looked out at the stars as his ship limped away from the battlefield. Somewhere out there, the Kreth Collective ruled over conquered worlds. But here, in this sector, a new power had risen. A species from a death world had proven they belonged among the stars. And the galaxy would never be the same. Lisa's smile was grim. Since the day your council decided we were too dangerous to trust, we took that as a challenge. You tried to contain us, so we built a fleet you could not contain. You dismissed us, so we made ourselves impossible to dismiss. She gestured at the battle. What you see is not human aggression, Kelrin. It is human potential. This is what we can do when we are pushed. And the galaxy is about to learn a very important lesson. What lesson? Kelrin asked quietly. Lisa turned back to her displays. Never fear humans for being violent. Fear us for being determined. Violence fades, but determination lasts forever. And humanity is the most determined species in the galaxy. The human delegation walked out of the council chamber. Behind them, the aliens erupted into frantic debate. Greg grinned at his companions. Think they will agree? Daniel watched through a window as the council argued. What lesson? Kate asked. Daniel's smile returned. Never underestimate someone from a death world. We did not become the dominant species on Earth by being weak. We became dominant by being too stubborn to quit and too smart to fight fair. The Galactic Council would give their answer soon. But the real answer would come on the battlefield. The Kreth Collective thought they were facing the weak species of the Council. They had no idea that Earth's children were coming. And humans, forged in the harsh fires of a death world, did not know how to lose.